Hi, welcome to Lundy Construction here at our 80 Elgin project. My name is Jordan Taylor, I'm the Health and Safety Manager, and I'll guide you through this first orientation. At this project, 2 site supervisors will represent Lundy Construction. 1, Neil Bamber, and 2, Kevin Lay. You can find them in our site office, which is located inside the structure, currently on the north side of the building, level 2. If there's an emergency, you will hear an electronic whistle sound. 1 long blast will identify the evacuation of the building. 3 short continuous blasts identify a medical emergency. Muster point is going to be located at the northwest corner in the parking lot. And please sit and gather at the muster point until the Lundy Construction Supervisor clears the project. Temporary washrooms right now are currently outside. Until we have the interior fit up a little bit more mechanically sound, we will have washrooms on every 3rd floor of this building. The closest hospital to the project is 501 Smythe Road. This is the Ottawa Hospital General Campus. We do have what's called a medical tear and go sheet that will provide you step-by-step directions from the project to that hospital should an emergency arise. So along with the site-specific safety plan, other pertinent and relevant information that you're going to find up on our safety boards, items such as a copy of the Construction Regulation 21391, commonly referred to as the Green Book, copy of the Notice of Project. How about our Lundy Times? This is safety talk information that we produce internally through Lundy for the benefit of you, the worker. Additionally, you're going to find all of our first aid components. Our first aid kit, our AED, our naloxone kit, stretchers, maybe some emergency blankets. The person in charge of the first aid kit, their copy of their certificate will be posted with that first aid kit as well, on top of a copy of the First Aid Regulation 1101. The most recent monthly inspection can be found inside that first aid kit as well, along with what we call the treatment record form. If you, the worker, need to take anything out of the first aid kit, please do so. It is there for you, but let us know what you did take by completing the first aid treatment log. Now, here at Lundy, we have partnered with a local software developer in the creation of their Core Fix program. This Core Fix program allows all of our required daily documents to complete it digitally and have a proper streamline to the appropriate final signers. With that being said, you, the trade contractor, we do require you to complete a daily job hazard analysis. On this job hazard analysis, you're going to identify what your tasks are, what the potential hazards are, what your controls are, and then again, the workers will entitle, review, and sign off confirming that those controls are aided to mitigate the risk of said hazards associated with your task. Weekly, a safety talk, toolbox talk is required to be performed. We do have a pre-populated section on our Core Fix safety talk form. You are welcome to select one of those. However, if you have your own topic, please simply select other and detail the topic that you have chosen to discuss. On top of those 2 forms, we do have specific equipment inspection forms. Therefore, if your employer does not have the appropriate inspection form, please seek out the Lundy supervisor and we will aid you in the appropriate equipment inspection forms. Now, you're going to find all these appropriate digital forms on a series of QR codes. We are going to present your trade with a poster, with a QR code poster. We ask that you post this in your job office, your site trailer, where you're commonly taking your breaks. And it's as simple enough as opening up your phone, getting on the camera feature, scanning the QR code, and from there it'll prompt you to said appropriate form. Thank you. So now let's talk about the personal protective equipment. Here at Lundy, we do require the following to be worn at all times while you are on the project. Starting off with your protective headwear. Please make sure your hard hat is an appropriate CSA classification Class E hard hat. This means that your hard hat has the appropriate electrical strength protection as a worker. Items not to be worn under a hard hat, such as a baseball style ball cap, they are not permitted to be worn under a hard hat. Items such as a toque, a bandana, a hairnet, a do-rag, or a welder style baseball cap are permitted through the CSA standard. Protective footwear. Please make sure you have an appropriate minimum 6-inch steel boot, alright, that's properly laced up, proper CSA green tag, and the proper orange Omega tag as well. Again, giving you the most form of electrical protection to your feet. On top of those two items, a reflective garment is required to be worn at all times. Whether it is a vest, a t-shirt, a jacket, sweater, as long as they have the appropriate reflective strips, that will be permitted here at Lundy. Task-specific items such as anti-cut gloves when the task calls for it, eye protection when the task calls for it. If you're using a black abrasive wheel such as a grinder or a quick cut, maybe a chop saw cutting some form of steel, a full face shield is required to be worn at this time. If you're producing 85 decibels or louder in your task, appropriate hearing protection is required. Now, typically at Lundy, we will have additional earplugs with our health and safety board as well. They are there for you as the worker. However, please seek out additional PPE from your employer as well. General clothing, please make sure that you are wearing an appropriate t-shirt with a minimum 4-inch cuff shirt, i.e. no muscle shirts are permitted on the job site, and pants full length. General clothing, again, ideally not torn, not greasy, not covered in oil. To the best of your abilities, please make sure your clothing is appropriate for the tasks. So in addition to the standard personal protective equipment, you the worker may require the use of wearing a fall protection equipment device. Imperative notes here as that worker is to inspect the fall protection equipment prior to its use, looking for any physical signs of damage, cuts, tears, worn out threads. Does the dorsal rings, do they connect in properly at the back? Do your actual snap connectors at the chest, the legs, do they all connect properly as well? Important note is to follow all manufacturer's instructions. Reference yourself into that manufacturer manual should you need to. The employer is required to provide you site-specific fall protection training. Therefore, if you are at our project and you are required to wear a fall arrest system versus a fall restricting system, potentially a travel restraint system, the employer then is to provide you that site-specific training. If you're looking for additional information when it comes to site-specific fall protection training, you can most certainly reference yourself back to our Lundy Times issue number 5, where we have further described and broke this down. So if an incident or accident does occur at one of our Lundy projects, it's imperative that you, the worker, report this to that Lundy supervisor the day of the accident, not the day after or multiple days after, okay? There is proper investigative steps that is required through our internal policies and procedures in addition to what's required through the construction regulations and the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Of importance, a Section 51 defines a critical injury or fatality on the job site. Again, there is a specific time frame that we, the constructor, have to notify the provincial jurisdiction. A Section 52 report speaks about a medical emergency. Therefore, somebody went and sought out further medical attention because of an accident. Again, there is a specific time frame to have this report in. A Section 53 report speaks about a prescribed incident. Now, the prescribed incident can range from a fire, accidental electrical contact, an inrush of water, potentially a failure of equipment. Maybe you, the worker, fell with your fall protection that deployed and rescued and saved you. That is through the definition of a prescribed incident. In addition to these legislative required reports, a near-miss incident. At Lundy, we pride ourselves on instilling proper corrective actions and ensuring larger scale incidents do not occur. However, if a near miss does occur on the job site, please be sure to advise us so we can put those proper mitigating steps in place to avoid that near miss incident from turning into a larger incident. In addition to a near miss, there could be a property damage type incident report as well. So again, please be sure to report these to all Lundy supervisors the day of the incident. Thank you. So again, within all of our projects, we ask that everybody carries themselves in a professional, respectable manner. This ties in with the appropriate workplace violence and harassment policies set forth as well. We do have a copy of this policy statement posted on the Health and Safety Board. We do have appropriate procedures in place when it comes to workplace violence and harassment. My ask to you as the worker is again, conduct yourself in a proper, respectable manner on how you would expect to be treated in return. report any potential or actual acts of workplace violence or harassment to the Lundy supervisor. Therefore, a proper investigation can occur. And I'd like to double down on the see something, say something scenario. If you see an act of violence or potential harassment, please speak up. We are a team, we work as a unison, and therefore we do wish and want everybody on our Lundy Construction projects to feel comfortable and safe while present at our Lundy projects. So when you hear the term see something, say something, what this refers to is, again, the buddy system, the working in conjunction as a team, as a unity out on the job site. If you see a fellow worker potentially working in contravention where they are exposing themselves or others to a hazard, please use your voice, speak up, and help that individual. This isn't a pointed point of conversation to say that person is at fault. It is a chance for us, again, as a team, to eliminate a potential risk, a potential injury, or even a worst case scenario. If you're the worker on the other end who is being engaged and saying, hey, look, maybe you're tied off improperly, respectively engage that person, thank them for their voice, and reposition whatever scenario you might be in. Again, see something, say something, working as a unison, working as a team so we can all get home at the end of the day. So here at Lundy Construction, we do pride ourselves on you, the worker, and your rights as a worker. You do have the right to participate. The right to participate will be as part of the Joint Health and Safety Committee. If there's any project testing that's going on, noise, dust, whatever it may be, you have that right as that worker. Please seek out the Lundy Construction supervisor should you wish to take part in this. You have the right to know. This more or less falls with your WMIS, the safety data sheets. Again, information. Is it a site inspection? All of our health and safety information is readily available for you, the worker. So again, please just seek out the Lundy supervisor and just provide that question, and we'll be happily able to provide you that document you're looking for. The right to refuse. If you are placed in a situation where you do not feel comfortable, you do not feel safe, exercise your worker to refuse that work. We have an investigative procedure that'll follow once this refusal has occurred, and the ultimate goal here is to, again, get you, the worker, comfortable, safe, and in a position to execute your task. Lastly, it's the newest right. It's the right to disconnect. If you are a worker who engages with your electronic devices at the day's end of your job, you do have that right as the worker to disconnect and enjoy your time with your family and whomever it may be outside of the work world. So the 4 rights as a worker: the right to participate, the right to know, the right to refuse, and the right to disconnect. So here at Lundy Construction, again, we do ask all workers arriving to the project to be fit for duty. This is avoiding any consumptions of alcohol or drugs that would render you harmful to yourself or others at the workplace. Again, if you observe anybody at the project who is maybe consuming drugs and alcohol while at the project, please report that, and following the see something, say something scenario we previously discussed. And that way we can, again, avoid any risk to you and other fellow workers here. If you're a worker who takes any prescribed medication and that medication may render your abilities, it turns into a bit of a modified work program. Your employer will help guide you through that process. Us with Lundy, acting as the constructor, can most certainly provide recommendations and advice here as well. So again, please arrive to the workplace fit for duty, ready to go, and avoid any consumptions of drugs and alcohol while at the project.
Now that wraps up the first portion of the orientation session. Thanks for watching the first portion of the video here. On the form itself, there will be a 5-question knowledge retention quiz that will need to be completed. Once that portion is done, feel free to keep scrolling down the form, initialing the selected boxes, confirming you heard and understood the information. At the end of the form, there is a section for you to upload appropriate training records, WMIS current within 1 year, and your MOL awareness, whether it be your 4-step or 5-step, is required to be uploaded for this form to be complete. Any other training cards, such as your working at heights, maybe your first aid, equipment operator certs, or any other, can be added as well in the selective boxes. Once you hit the send and sign, the orientation form itself will be sent to the supervisor automatically. So on your first day, please check in at the site office or site trailer with the Lundy site supervisor. They will then confirm the form's completionness. Once everything is satisfactory, you will receive your Lundy site orientation sticker and you are cleared to work on the project. So on behalf of the Lundy Health and Safety team and the entire management here at Lundy Construction, we thank you for your time and efforts. Work safely, see something, say something, and we look forward to seeing you out on the project. Thanks again.